Hello again. Anybody who walks often in the British countryside or visits wildlife parks or forests will know that it's rare to see black people in such settings. I live 15 minutes walk from Epping Forest, and when I go there, which is often, most of the people I see are white. They don't all live around here. People get the tube to Loughton and Epping to walk or cycle in the forest. At its southern end, the forest touches Chingford, which is quite a mixed area, but you will never see black families using the forest. Indians do, and seeing Indian families going for walks in Epping Forest isn't unusual. Black people, never. Since the forest is always open, and anybody may go there at any time of the day or night, I assume that black people prefer to do other things rather than ramble in the forest. Black children go when their schools take them, but not otherwise. The picture is pretty much the same elsewhere in the country. Hikers and mountain walkers are, with very few exceptions, white. The exceptions are, of course, Indians and Nepalese, but never African or Caribbean. This week's New Scientist contains a piece from the founder of a project called Black to Nature, in which it is asserted that access to nature is a right, not a privilege. In the description to this video, I give a link to the website of this organisation, which says that we campaign for equal access to nature for all, but concentrate on visible minority ethnic communities who are currently excluded from the countryside. Except, of course, that they are not. Reaching the countryside does not entail passing through border posts or customs barriers. You can just enter it whenever and wherever you want. Let me read you a bit from the piece in the New Scientist. According to a 2016 Natural England study, 74% of white British children visited green spaces weekly, compared with 56% for black, Asian and minority ethnic children. The 2019 Landscapes Review showed that the UK's national parks didn't attempt to engage the high number of people who are of a minority ethnicity and living in cities by, for example, ensuring cheap buses. Why on earth should Britain's national parks lay on free buses for black people to visit them? Nobody else has any difficulty in walking on the South Downs or hiking in the Brecon Beacons or going to the Lake District. There's no shortage of visitors to such places, and if black people wanted to climb mountains, then I suppose they would do so. I've remarked before that black men have, black men tend to manifest it more, have a higher polygenic risk score for developing schizophrenia, and that this is a genetic rather than social problem. According to Black to Nature, though, it's caused by all those national parks not laying on free buses to go to the South Downs. In other words, less a matter of heredity and more a lack of opportunities to visit the countryside. Let me read what is said here. Statistics show black men are 10 times more likely to have experienced psychosis compared with white men. Around 68% of white British people had improved outcomes after treatment for anxiety or depression, while only 61% of Bangladeshi people in the UK did. Compared with young white people, black and Asian young people are twice as likely to be referred to mental health services via social care and youth justice service systems. It is clear that their mental health issues are only identified when society has already failed them. The disparity between visible minority ethnicities and white teenagers is stark, and so equal access to nature for all could make a real difference here. This is a classic case of seeking out racism where none at all exists. The countryside tends to be a fairly peaceful place where people go to get away from city streets and so they can just see trees, fields, rivers, sheep, mountains and so on. I don't think this appeals to many black families, and that they have different wishes and desires, ways to spend their time. But it's not because they are being excluded or discriminated against. This is an attempt to introduce racism where none exists, and to suggest that white people who spend the cost of a bus or train fare travelling to the countryside are somehow taking part in a divisive act. I resent this implication, I have to say.